This podcast was recorded on January the 7th, 2017, right before the Saxton Hale Comic Book 6 came out, featuring the voices of Aggro, Uberchain, and special guest star, YouTuber FUNKe. Artwork this week came from Dribbleondo, and the thumbnail, of course, came from Wave Robin.
Hey, are you even listening? The KritzKast. The TF2 podcast. With these jerks.
Hello everybody and welcome to KritzKast, the Team Fortress 2 podcast. My name is Aggro, I have a cold. Together with me is Uberchain, she has a cold. And we have a special guest as well, who I am led to believe also has a cold. But to make up for us all having colds, it turns out that he's an awesome special guest. We've been chatting to him pre-show and he's kept me entertained and I think I've kept him awake. FUNKe or FUNKe? Is it FUNKe or FUNKe? I should get that out of the way first.
It's actually Punchy now.
Punchy, welcome to the show. Is it really Punchy? You're just taking the piss out of me now.
It's actually Punko.
Okay, Punko, congratulations in confusing and mesmerizing an entire audience of people out
Hey everybody, I'm Punko. I'm really happy to be here. Can't wait for the show to start.
Oh my god, are you the real Punchy from facepunch.com? Oh my god.
I'm actually Uber Munchkin.
Oh shit.
It's not helping.
Your work's okay.
Okay.
You're excited.
So I'll tell you what we can do. We can do a thing whereby we invite our guest to do a rundown of the show's content this week. Punchy, Punko, FUNKe, whatever the hell you're calling yourself right now, would you like to tell us what's on the show this week?
We've got a fair bit of stuff to talk about. Some stuff including Jill responding to CLT issues, the Test of Time Award, Rewind officially being announced, and plenty of good stuff about maps and RTF2. And I guess me.
And
I guess you.
Yeah, I guess you.
That's on the later end of it. That's not as important, though.
Well, it is. I tell you what, let's front load the show. I realised at this point I haven't actually let Uberchain say anything. Hi, Uberchain, are you okay?
I'm gonna leave now.
just
leave yet.
They can have a red button that they can push whenever they want to talk, and we'll decide if it's okay.
Just add some foley of like my chair just squeaking and like the door closing in this part.
Okay, I'll do that later. All right, so FUNKe, we're very pleased. Oh, come on, let me off here. Is it FUNKe or FUNKe or Puncho?
It's FUNKe.
Is it FUNKe?
It's all of the above, to be honest. Like he goes by Punchy on a few websites. He goes by FUNKe on like most other things. People who don't know how to pronounce it call it FUNK, which is like at that point whatever. And other people, like at some point I read it, I'm like, is it FUNKe? Like FUNKe, like
I'm being serious when I say I don't even know what my name is. Most people say FUNK, so that's kind of like the most widely regarded name. FUNKe also works. Let's just go with FUNK, okay?
FUNK.
Okay,
let's get our FUNK on right now. FUNK, how is it that you are so awesome?
Well, that's kind of a difficult answer to question, considering that I'm not actually awesome. But I got pretty far just making videos about Team Fortress 2 and trying a lot of stuff that I hadn't seen done before. So I would guess that is one of the main things that's attributed to me. If I had to make a wild guess.
As a content creator, a lot of the times, a lot of content creators tend to make it bigger if that is a goal of theirs, is because they see something is missing from what they want to see, so
there's a huge hole in my life, and I fill it up with Team Fortress 2.
And we fill it up with Team Fortress 2, as does any Team Fortress 2.
Yeah, pretty much.
Really, at the time, what was it that you were not seeing enough of that you wanted to deliver on?
Love. Nobody loved me. And, when you get a couple YouTube comments, there's no love there, but some of them, there's a hint of it. So that kind of fills the hole.
And was like that part of, was the reception enough that you decided you wanted to keep doing it as much, or did you figure that like with the landscape around you? I think this was during the time too that a lot of the popular YouTubers from way back in the
We're starting
first
to
wave.
phase out a bit.
Yeah, the first, like, I usually call it by first wave and second wave.
Yeah,
I think there's like an in-between wave.
There's definitely
of, like,
generations of Team Fortress 2 video content creators.
Most people would say...
I've been around... I don't mean to cut you off, but...
Oh, that's okay. Keep going.
I've been around since, like, 2012, and I wasn't making videos up until, like, 2015. Before then, I was making workshop items and source filmmaker creations and a lot of different kind of forgettable stuff because I wasn't very good. But around the time that you're talking about when, like, Star, Jerma, all the other creators were sort of phasing out and trying other stuff is when me and Dane and, Ray7 and other people kind of started gaining more traction. And the main reason I kind of kept going was just because I made a couple videos and, like, they got good feedback. People were like, hey, this is pretty good. You should make more stuff. And, up until then, I didn't really have much of a following on YouTube or anything. So I kind of just kept going with it. And here we are today.
Okay, I mean, you've reached a certain level of followership. I don't know what the technical term for it is, but...
Followership's the correct word, yes.
Thank you. Excellent. I have a bit of a lucky guess on that one. So you have a fan base of X number of thousands, and you're effectively free to do whatever you want. In one of your videos, you mentioned that you had intended, or it was a tweet when you said you intended in 2016 to become like a key pin or pin king or a kingpin, there you go, of Team Fortress 2 and then move on and do whatever you want. Having spoken to you for the last half hour in preparation for this podcast, I realised that you take the piss a lot. You'll deadpan conversations, and even so far as like identifying yourself with your real name is extraordinarily difficult to do so. So were you being legit?
Was I being legitimate in that tweet where I said I was going to be the king? Yeah, I was being... No, I wasn't being... I think in the back of my head, it was a legitimate goal to, like, make a name for myself. So if, like, for whatever reason I left the game, people would remember me. But in terms of, like, literal... Like, am I just going to, like, become the kingpin and leave? No, I was just kind of making an offhanded comment about New Year's resolutions, I guess.
Okay. I feel somewhat refreshed and reassured by that. Like, there has been a sense of failing by the YouTubing community of Team Fortress 2. Like, people have been transitioning to different games.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame people for it, but in my agenda, I would never quit TF2. The worst case scenario would be it would stop being my main focus, which just means like even if TF2 isn't all that I upload, it'll always be, a part of my identity. I never try to get rid of that.
That's really sweet. I've always said, like, as long as there's... Cheers. I'm actually blushing now. It's really awkward to speak while I'm blushing. I know, right?
The fanfics are being written out as we speak, gentlemen. Be careful.
Oh, I'm okay God, you started something. Please, no. Yeah, so, like, it's nice to know that, I'm not alone. Like, there's so many people who love Team Fortress 2. But we've always said, like, so long as there's Team Fortress 2, there will be KritzKast. And I think having someone along for the ride, like, we've got the TF crew, and those guys are really freaking amazing as well. Who is it that you're... Are you okay to go alone into this great white world, or are you looking to join the TF crew, for example? I think... Am I trying to...
Dane actually came up to me before TF crew it was even a thing, and said, hey, I'm putting together this thing, do you want to be a part of it? And I declined, and it wasn't because I don't like TF crew or I didn't like the idea, because I do love it, but I kind of just didn't... I knew that I won't... It's kind of hard to, like, dance around my words here, but I've always kind of done stuff on my own. I've never really collaborated or anything. And joining like the TF2 group kind of thing, I wouldn't get much out of it, and I would kind of just feel a little more obliged to collaborate more, which, not that I don't like doing it, but it's just kind of in my nature to try things solo. So I kind of just passed on it for now. I could see myself maybe in the future joining it if I like get a super resurgence in making stuff for it. But right now, I kind of just, I'm riding the waves as they come, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a certain amount of sense. Yeah, absolutely. Look,
I think it makes a lot of sense with the landscape at the moment. Yeah, Agro, continue.
No, I was going to say, Uberchain raised an interesting point before we went live, actually, talking about staying within Uberchain. Staying within the mindset.
Staying within my circle.
Within your circle. Yeah. Don't mess with Uberchain.
Where are my 3 videos that were promised to me? It's like this loan isn't going to pay off itself.
God, always with the videos. Okay, so like the whole thing with collaboration is something that YouTube has been promoting and wants its content creators to do more of.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's something I know that you've invested with. You have done collaborations with other people in the past.
Oh yeah, definitely, I have.
And you've not ruled it out as being a possibility in the future. But do you see YouTube as being your final form? Are you looking to get into Twitch? You started doing the live stream thing. Are you? What makes you?
I'm still on the younger creating? Side of, I guess, content creators that have made a good, that have gotten pretty far into it. I guess 200,000 subscribers. Most people around there are probably 21 plus, but I'm going to be 20 in like 3 months. So I haven't really figured out what I'm going to be doing like as my calling. But I mean, I could see myself doing I could see myself doing YouTube for like, I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. I've always wanted to get into like film or just experiment on creative projects like stand up or, movies or anything. Anything that I have a knowledge of.
The main thing that Uberchain was talking about was the fact that like there's almost no point doing YouTube from a monetary standpoint anymore.
It depends. Like if you can sustain a regular schedule, I think that's how it changed. If you can maintain like a really, really, really consistent schedule and do certain things like make your videos 10 minutes long rather than 5 minutes, which is the ideal watching time of anybody's attention span nowadays.
It's definitely doable, but it is dependent on like how willing you are to commit to it.
Yeah, like has your earnings, and you don't have to give a specific number if you're not comfortable, has your earnings gone down since YouTube has updated their sort of monetization policy?
To be honest, I haven't really paid attention to it because I don't pay my own rent, but
wow, okay.
I know that I make enough to like theoretically survive off of as it is, but I wouldn't be surprised to learn that it's definitely gone down or changed in some way since YouTube has kind of been messing with stuff.
So
I think that's fair.
I mean, that's kind of an interesting point as well. Like this is not something that you're dependent on. Does that allow you to be more your own man? Say your own mind, not feel beholden to anyone?
I wouldn't say he's not dependent on it. It is, after all, his like channel and like his craft and his image.
That's the thing. Like, I'm not dependent on it in a sense that I'm constantly worried about like if I can live off of this for the next 5 years or anything.
Yeah.
But it is my main source of income right now. So I mean, I kind of do feel obliged to not like abandon it if I just don't feel like uploading. But I do feel a sense of freedom just because that's how I choose to treat my channel. I don't force myself to make constant 10-minute videos or anything. I kind of just come up with an idea and make it, or if I think something is worth it, then I do.
Okay, this gets into the meat grinder of what it is that you do in terms of producing content. Does it take you 10 minutes to make a video? Does it take you an hour? Does it take you a week or a month? How many are you able to crank out in a day? Have you got a guilty pile of videos in the same way that most people have a guilty pile of games that they've never played that are just waiting to be uploaded onto the internet and for you to reap the resources from them sentence died in the middle there. Yeah. How are you doing this content? How many can you knock up in a month?
In my head, I have a lot piled up, kind of just waiting to be made. On the actual fryer, pretty much whenever I release a video, that's what I was doing for the past, like, between 2 days and a week. That was the main thing I was focusing on. I don't pile stuff up and then release it on a schedule, which would, in hindsight, be a very good idea, especially for stuff like holidays where I'm out of town and I just don't upload for 3 weeks, which is kind of a bad way to do it. As it is now, though, I usually I get a couple ideas, I try to, slowly sculpt them all out, and then I just release when I get it done.
I think there's something to be said about, like, the sincerity of that. Now, I know, like, you have your fair share of, like, followers, and I think something most people who have followed you around appreciate from you is, like, the sincerity of your opinions, as well as when you want to release things. Like, I can understand the logistics when I hear about people stockpiling videos for times when they have weekends to maintain their audience.
I understand it. And I've definitely gone through phases of my channel where I was doing more stuff like that. Like, in the earlier days of my channel, like mid-2015, a lot more of my videos were mostly just kind of shenanigans with my friends or trying out some like new game mode or what have you that I thought was interesting, and then I just cut it down to the interesting bits. But I experiment a lot, especially in the last 6 months.
So with drugs or?
Well, that's not really relevant. No.
No, it's science.
Science,
aggro, science.
No, but like the last 6 months, I kind of turned my focus to less on staying active and uploading stuff that people will like because it's me, and more on making stuff people will like because it's legitimately something they might not have seen before, or maybe like they were just impressed with how I handle it or something like that. So yeah, there were definitely points where I would kind of have a couple videos ready to upload and I'd schedule them out. But nowadays, it's not that I avoid that, I just don't happen to be in that situation as much.
Okay.
I think that's like really cool to hear about you spending the time to do. Not many people, especially if they really take it like in a job seriousness way or a view serious way, do that. They just sort of want to maintain that curve of like growth rather than fall off.
It's the kind of stuff that I've respected, and like there's a lot of other TF2 content creators that do the same thing. Like they will think of a project and then they'll be working on that for the next week. A lot of people like Array7 and Uncle Dane and all the other big guys definitely do at least like they have the same mindset as me in that regard, where they just want it, like they want whatever they release to be good.
Mm-hmm. And there's that concern too, where it's now, as a fellow content creator to another fellow content creator, do you do that thing where sometimes you take so long on it that you're concerned about whether or not it's actually good or not?
Oh, all the freaking time. Well, it's like, because the more you look at your own thing, the more you notice the flaws, and the more you get bored of it because you've seen it so many times. And it kind of just like raises your anxiety, because it's like, I've been spending so much time and it's still not what I want it to be. Is this really worth it? It's like, it's taking way too long.
Yeah, I imagine too, like you've had that come across as an issue before. When content creators upload something, sometimes what happens, and it will happen, something that they worked really hard on and that they're proud on, they upload it. It's not going to get the same attention as something they worked on for less amount of time or less amount of thought. And you sort of sit there at a point, and you have a content creator crisis.
Yeah, there's like a line where you're either making an integrity move or you're making like a publicity move. Like there are videos you can make that would be way easier to make, and it would get better reception because people are familiar with it. But then there's stuff that you legitimately want to show people.
Let's really lock down on that then. What is it that you've made that you labored over, that the video that you thought was going to be like your set piece, your masterpiece, and the audience just gave you 1,000 thumbs down and told you to get back to your normal thing?
You're definitely setting me up for a pretty obvious answer here, but the problematic learning curve, when I was making it, I didn't consider it, this is my coup de grace or anything. I definitely felt more pride in it than most of my, like, I felt more proud of that result than I did a lot of other stuff, just because I tried to put a lot of effort into doing the research and legitimately trying to make an unbiased point while still showing my opinion on it.
Okay.
And not making it too like hard ass of a top. Yeah. Like,
I don't know if you know this, but we had Soundsmith on just before Christmas, just before we broke up.
Yeah, I skimmed through that episode.
And he wanted to set you up as being Player of the Week for this video. Like
that was his idea?
Absolutely. If you know him or if you don't, go and find him and shake him by the hand.
Yeah, no, I like his videos, but I haven't talked to him yet.
So yeah, there were definitely people who responded to this positively.
Yeah. I got Froyo Habib actually added me a couple days after that just to say like, hey, I actually appreciated your video. I thought it made a lot of good points. And that's kind of the main thing I do that I want when I make videos is just positive reception from my peers. Like, positive reception from YouTube itself is rewarding, but a lot of times they'll be happy with stuff that like you might not be happy with. So when you have someone that you like legitimately respect say, hey, you did a good job on this, it means a lot. So like this video, even though it garnered a lot of negative reception because, herder Overwatch comparison and just making fun of some of the flaws in TF2, a lot of people said that I legitimately brought up some good things to think about, and that made it worth it.
So, on the flip side of this, what's something that you spent 30 minutes making and has gone ridiculously skyrocket high, and you're no longer want to associate with, but it makes you shitloads of money? Is there a video in your repertoire that's like that?
Shitloads of views.
There's not necessarily one where I'm like
all of them.
I regret all.
I regret everything.
Pretty much everything before 2016 is garbage. Not to be real though. When I made a video talking about like the new jumper and the new knife, I didn't think it was that great. Like I put a lot of effort into kind of not making it just a generic commentary or anything, but there really wasn't anything that made it special, and it got like 600,000 views compared to the videos around it, which only got like between like 150 and like 300,000. Yeah. And I thought that was kind of weird because I thought it was a bad representation of what I normally do. Because it like I don't normally make stuff like that. This.
Like okay, I'll say this another way. You very much made mention of the fact that you create videos that aren't being made by other people. So you have a very unique style to content creation. How would you describe that content? And what are those things that you're doing that nobody else is?
I wouldn't call it unique in a way that like nobody else can do what I could do, because anybody with a computer and a microphone can do what I do. But I just kind of look for a lot, like maybe not so much in the earlier days, but now I kind of look in the cracks and crevices of stuff that, people wouldn't normally think is worth going into. Like, I made a video where I modded all of Scout's voice commands to sound like Soldier 76, and then I scoured for server plugins to give me an aimbot and like a sprint function and like turn off damage fall off. Just all of these small intricate pieces that I could put together to make one unique thing. And that's kind of what I try to aim for every video. It's like anybody can sort of play Scout with a babyface blaster and say, hey, look, I'm Soldier 76. But I think the thing that makes me a little different is that I try to make that extra effort to make it like as dumb of a video as possible.
I see that actually. Yeah. I watched the gimmick video, and all the gimmicks were pulled out on that one. I also watched. In contrast, I watched. I think my favorite video out of you so far, like from what I've seen, has been the story mode. Story mode was really cool.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I really wish something like it. I have plans in the future, and that was one of the reference materials me and a few people looked at in terms of like, okay, this is kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool.
I think it is. I think it's especially valid with the sort of release of like Dane's a story mode challenge a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. I don't know if that's like if I'm hardcore enough to do that kind of story mode, but
I feel like it'd be really hard on the later end because the search queues are just going to be so huge.
Oh, that's true, isn't it? Yeah. Like
I also told him he should add Man vs. Machine to that story mode because
Man vs. Machine. Oh.
That's like the most story mode version of TF2 the game has. So
to be fair, you're not wrong. It ties in with the comic, right?
So you have to have at least a little, like at least one round or something of that.
Oh wow, you had to mention the comic.
Yeah, so speaking of like things that
might or might not be true.
Might or might not be true. Well, no, like in terms of like
there's a theoretical possibility.
Yeah, in terms of community contributors, like we're thankful for the amount of like content they contribute whenever they have time to. As we are thankful for anything we see from Valve in terms of the comic.
Yeah. So there was some speculation that the comic was going to be released in August and then again in September. This is like not just random people going, I wonder if it's going to be released. It's actually Jay Pinkerton going on his Twitter feed and going, yes, this is definitely a thing. It's definitely going to happen. And as we all know, Valve has their own sense of time. But I understand that the latest news was that it was going to be released before the end of January. So, yay if it happens, but kind of at the same time.
Keep in mind, he didn't say what year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I'm really
January 2018.
I'm getting to this point now where I sort of like I'm being desensitized to the possibility of things on the horizon.
It's gotten to the point where I read like I think the comic we're hoping the comic will be out in January, and I just interpret that as okay, the comic's not going to be out in January.
Yeah. Like
it's been 17 years.
You've gone as far as naming a date. It's not that one.
Yeah.
Okay. And bear in mind, I think it was. Were you saying Jill had like special information from Valve?
Not necessarily special, but when he had visited, and I'm not going to go too in detail because this was months ago. So, but he visited Valve and just Driller said that they were working on a major update and hoped for it to be out by the end of the year. And that was before Smithmas, which I feel like most people don't consider to be a major update in, compared to like every other major update, which kind of leads you to the conclusion that they planned for a major update to be out before 2017 and plans changed. So
I'm guessing like if
it's going to be delayed, I guess.
Yeah. If anything's to be lined up, it's probably going to be the class updates that they planned, which is now the Pyro update since it's been decided. It was probably the Pyro update which they wanted. They definitely wanted it out before 2017, but I don't think it was just soundly possible.
Maybe they figured have it
if they released an update in 2016, it would just die again.
Well, so, you know how it is. You skip 2 major updates and you still don't have one ready. So
yeah,
is that the trend?
That's the trend.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh boy. So on to things that are actually real, that are not made up. Jill, who is basically the person who is interacting with the fan base on a critical level, is the person responsible for bringing to life competitive Team Fortress 2 as part of the actual game itself, as opposed to something that only fans did. Jill has been responding to messages on GitHub about what is seen by some as a critical flaw for CELT or KELT. This is the new audio codec that's been completely enforced on all game servers. Apparently, if you're a Mac user, then all voices sound like they're super deformed children. Which
I see nothing wrong with this.
I mean, I always sound like that, so it doesn't really affect me.
The Mac is basically Pyrovision.
That's it. Yeah, so you're getting the experience of truth as opposed to experience of being lied to.
Is this the first time that Valve has responded on GitHub though? I almost feel like if you really want to report something, GitHub's the place to do it. Like for me, who is a non-programming person, GitHub is where the smart people are at.
From what I remember, don't quote me on this, but there were people that sort of relay information to Valve from GitHub, and they were seen posting around, responding to like old bugs people would like post on GitHub like, "Hey, X isn't working," and then you get a post from somebody marked as Valve saying, "Is there any more information about this you can share?" So there's definitely a lot of people going around there that have contact to Valve.
I mean, it's legitimately Valve Software's GitHub page. So it's not just a random comment on a random post about a random thing
it makes sense that they'd be there.
So Rewind, I think, because it's delivered the hype.
Because people have gone the full length to really show that it's going to be a big event, and TF2 is the main focus of it, which doesn't happen often. Yeah.
So should we shuffle that down as we choose to talk? I see you on those show notes.
It's a lot easier to segue this way.
Yeah, I was going to do it surreptitiously without anybody noticing. It was just going to happen, and people were like, "Oh, I see you. You're clever. You've done this thing before."
Oh, I know exactly what you're up to.
All right. So let's go into this. Rewind, which we've talked about a couple times on the show, is going to be coming up really soon at the end of January. And there's been a couple developments. So I'm not too sure we actually talked about the fundraisers before when Medley and Bob were on the show. Yeah, I think we skipped that.
Yeah, funny feeling we skipped over it. I mean, it's not like there's just one fundraiser either. There's
quite
many.
A few. So what's happening right now is Crown's Esports Club, which were ETF2L Prem winners and I-58 winners, have rebranded themselves to Team 7, a TF2 exclusive organization similar to like Champ GG, and they are currently fundraising. They met their fundraiser, I think, for Rewind, but they're planning on making more in order to give back to the community in terms of perks as well as fund future lands. So we'll link their fundraiser in the show notes. Not only Europe, but Australia wants a piece of that action too. So Jasmine T are actually fundraising again.
Oh, no. Have you seen the latest? I mean, they needed to raise like $5,000. I think it's $5,000 in order to bring like the team over.
Jasmine T or
Jasmine T, and they met it.
Somebody rescinded their 200. Like, I'm not going to get into details as to why. I'm not sure about that myself, but they still need a little bit of money. So if you've got, they only have like a few little bit, $200 or something. So if you want to see Australia being represented in a major TF2 international LAN, you should definitely consider tossing some pocket change over. Australia being at a TF2 LAN is a huge sort of honor, because it's always been North America and Europe for the longest time. So seeing additional countries in that mix to see how their TF2 is played or how their TF2 holds up is really fun to see, and it's always that prestige, like, regardless of the prize pot. Speaking of which, prize pot is also community funded. So depending on if your team that you want to see is already going, you can toss a few quarters into the prize pot.
Yeah, the way they do that is kind of strange as well. This U-stake thing where like everybody who puts in a contribution for every individual person who puts in a contribution, will get this, whether it's $1 or $100 or $1,000, U-stake will put in $1 as well. So they are effectively, if there's like 1,000 people that make donations, then there's 1,000 extra bucks in the pot. Like the prize pool at the moment is kind of impressive. It's like $7,000 or something. Just for the invite team, and like $500 for the for randomers.
It would be cool to see, it become one of the biggest prize pools you've seen in just TF2 tournament history.
Well, look, the interesting takeaway from this, regardless of how big the prize pot gets, the reason why, I can't remember whether I saw this in a documentary or through a conversation with somebody who knows, but the reason why like the international kicked off in the location it did, with the people it did, and with the configuration it did, was that Valve went along to have a look at it, and saw that everything was ready for them. They didn't have to do anything. Like the entire setup was there.
It was put together for them.
It was all put together for them, and all they had to do was come along the next year and go, do you know what? Let's make this official. So if Rewind are able to do an excellent job, and it's not so desperately far away from, it's not like it's something that's happening in England. It's kind of home turf for them. It's down the road. It's a little bit of a drive down the road. I mean, it's not on their doorstep.
Yeah, but if you can get enough coverage for the event and make it, get enough interest in it, then you can. That's not even an issue.
And that's one of the things that sort of the community as a whole has always struggled to do. There's a lot of people who have always been excited about major events, and a lot of people tune in to the live stream, and for that matter, a lot of people turn up onto the actual site itself. But the numbers, the sheer volume of people who've been into competitive has never been enough to make Valve take it seriously, to the point where Valve want to endorse their own competitive event. So
Valve is weird in a way that like they want to develop their own meta and they kind of want to start a grassroots matchmaking system and not just sort of, kind of treat the one that the community has made as their own, which is kind of a reason I feel like they're not really backing up prize pools or giving a lot of coverage.
I think it's a lot more complicated than that too, because newer games also tried to do that, where they wanted to form the game based on what they saw rather than what the community wanted. But eventually,
like the community's
they listened to the community and they formed their esports around that. Whereas Valve, it's like, I'm not sure they can justify doing that so late into the game when it's had time to develop.
I mean, I don't blame them for kind of figuring out their own way.
Yeah, now, solutions too that people have mentioned, like esports crates, are really hard to justify as well, because I don't know if teams stay together long. Usually the way an esports crate works is, I guess...
Yeah.
Like, I think it's specifically for teams, but not enough teams stay together consistently or sponsor a TF2 team long enough that, like Crown's Esports Club, the reason why Team 7 had to rise up was because Crown's Esports Club
dropped. Yeah, they rebrand and they close and people move.
Yeah, and Perilous Gaming, which used to be Full Tilt back in... Yeah.
How does Dota do it? Because I know Dota usually, like, during internationals, I think they do, like, some buyable product in-game that gives you a bunch of, like, taunts and items that goes towards a prize pool.
They might, actually. I don't know. It's I think Dota is crowdfunded. That well,
but I remember that there was and it wasn't like you were like CSGO has it. I think you can buy like stickers of team logos and stuff. But Dota, I know they kind of just had big goodie boxes you could buy that went towards the prize pool. I could be wrong on that, but from my knowledge, it's like that. And that's kind of a decent system to sort of get around having to, to fund
ask for money from the community.
I'd say just fund the tournament. Yeah. Like Street Fighter a while back had a DLC pack where you got a certain amount of skins, and those proceeds would go to the tournament. I think a lot of people thought it was like really expensive though, but for the cause and like for the fact it was fighting games, which is also sort of a struggling scene in the sports world.
Like the whole reason we're talking about Rewind again now is not just because there's all of these fundraisers. I feel like there should be like a long list of like all of the fundraisers.
We'll have the complete list.
is that going to go for the show notes or something?
Version.
Yeah, the prize pool and the Americans and the Euros and the Australians
and everybody else. I feel like I'm the only person not asking for like the audience to pay my way to Rewind. I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure loads of people are doing it off their own back. But I wish I'd set something up,
I'm going to be going though on work. Like I'm not there to necessarily spectate. Like I'm there to collect interviews for my project.
That's the thing. So like the fact that I'm not asking anyone for my way there means that I get to turn up, drink beer, and relax and chill out and watch what will hopefully be some of the best Team Fortress 2 that I've ever seen in my life, with some of the most amazing teams. Like the fact that we've got Australians and North Americans and Europeans and like the whole world. It feels like the whole world is turning up to this event, and I'm going to be there. That's like such an exciting possible scenario. Like I kind of want to like call you out now, Funk, for not turning up. Like, what's the deal with that, man? Seriously, it's in your country. Come on.
It started a while back with my buddy Steele pestering me to go, and I was on the fence for too long about it because I don't make flights much, and I'm kind of a stingy money spender, so I don't like.
I feel you. Yeah.
I don't like spending money to go out for stuff a lot.
I didn't decide I was going to go
and
until
by the time I decided
ago.
I had an interest in it, flights were like $500, and that's not even covering like the potential Disney World trip that everyone's going to, and any other stuff.
I don't know. Like, Banny and everybody will tell you to go. I remember being in California a while back for another event, and we were like, yeah, Disneyland. We saw the entry fee. We were like, no, Disneyland. No.
Yeah. It's like $100 or something stupid. It's ridiculous.
It's $100 for the entry. Like, it's not like, unless you live in like, unless you can nick off like a California pass from your friend and tell your friend, yeah, I'm using this. You can't go though.
Yeah.
It's not the Disneyland trip. I don't think is just buy the headband at like some knockoff tourist store.
I Google mapped it and like, the 12-year-old version of me is like, why would you go to California and not go to Disneyland? I mean, are you mental, man? Have you lost it? But the 40-year-old version, or the 42-year-old, no, it's still 41, thank God for that. I'm not old, honest. The old man in me goes, John, it's Disney World and it's tiny. It's so freaking tiny.
Oh, wait, it's not Disney World though. It's not
Disneyland, isn't it?
Disneyland and Disney World. Disney World, I think, is
Disney
in
World.
Are you near Disney World, or is that? Like, Funky, are you near Disney World?
I'm not near it, but I'm like a 3-4 hour drive, I think.
Have you been
gone there like once?
Do you get free tickets? Have you worshipped
at
the
altar
of passes, like they usually?
Mickey?
No, the place we usually go down here is Universal, which is like 2 hours away, so it's a lot easier to go to.
What was the other one? Kew Gardens? No, not Kew Gardens. That's the English thing. Something Gardens. I'm sure that's a Orlando one. Anyway, enough talking about parks. And recreation.
Not a Disneyland podcast.
Disneyland.
Podcast, baby. Yes. So there has been a
You're really testing my time.
Like teaser trailer that came out this week, which was somewhat awesome. Shall I just play it now?
Yes, you play it for the.
Okay, I'll play it for
You play it for the stream audience, and then we figure out how to edit that into audio.
All right, here we go. This is a thing.
Over the last decade, the competitive FPS genre has exploded. But some games have been left behind. Overlooked. Despite the passion and dedication of their communities, they continue to be neglected by bigger tournaments in favour of something newer and shinier. Which begs the question, how do these games stay alive? Why are these games still playing? Still competing? Still pushing themselves to be the best? Find out this January.
So it looks like the video is sponsored by Weed Maps, and I think the event is sponsored by Weed Maps as well. And Weed Maps is basically
Weed Maps.
Weed Maps. Google it.
Weed Maps.
It's legitimately
That's a weird name.
It's a system for finding out where the best weed is.
You're messing with me, aren't you?
No, straight up, it's legit. Weed Maps. I assume it is. Like, I imagine there's going to be a link somewhere.
I need to get them to sponsor my channel.
Yeah.
It actually is. I thought you were like just.
No.
I thought you were just like improvising something.
No, it's very much.
It's real.
Hey, the more you know.
Weed Maps. So, yeah.
Man, this tournament's going to be a lot more lit than I thought.
I know, right? Oh, they got an app and everything. Yeah. So
Saint, your 1980s tournament.
Yeah. Anyway, so the video is kind of cute for it. I don't know why they chose Fribs for it, but I don't have a problem with that.
Fribs has a pleasant voice.
Yeah, it's pleasant. Yeah.
It gets the point across.
I think, for the feel they were going for, like, I can understand why they picked picked Fribs for the VO.
Yeah.
So, like, imagine, like, that trailer being done in Eckstein's voice. Like, would it be the same feel?
It'd be slightly more stoned, I guess.
It kind of depends on it. Like, it seems like they're mostly just appealing to the TF2 crowd, which, like, makes sense, because main event, and I'm sure, like, a lot of them had to do with the creation of the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, they do make mention, like, they say games that have been, like, stepped over in favor for other things at major events.
It's kind of a backhanded compliment.
It really is, like, yeah.
Games that nobody cares about finally get some coverage.
Yeah. But, like, Halo is massive. So Halo CE, obviously not massive, but Halo as a game, totally. It's insane. It's huge. It has insane coverage.
I used to play Halo, like, on the school computers because my mom was a teacher, and after school, me and my brother would just go to her room and play, like, Halo 3 or something, just online on that.
At my school, we had fax machines. So, I'm just saying, yeah, totally different era. But
feel old yet?
I always feel old when I'm on this show. I don't know what it is. Whenever I'm interacting with this, with the community, I always feel old.
One of my friends used the term DAE, and I felt old because I had no idea what that meant.
DAE?
You know, like, it's like an abbreviation like LOL. DAE, and I just had no idea what it meant.
Oh, the Halo podcast people are gonna come after you, Aggro.
Oh, yeah.
Why is
They're
that?
gonna be like, it's like, so I heard you're talking about, like, Halo without us.
You reckon they got a union or something?
crossoverpodcast.com special.
Okay, maybe we'll have to sort something out for that. Actually, do you know, I was Duststorm, who does Podtacular, was, and if you're into Halo, you should definitely check out Podtacular. They're amazing. They've been going longer than KritzKast has and have significantly more episodes because they seem to update, like, put out at least one episode a week, sometimes 3 or 5, depends how they feel. Duststorm was taking a much needed break over Christmas. I saw him like a few days between Christmas and New Year. We got to hang out in the city of London. It's really cool, brilliant experience. So we were talking about doing some sort of crossover stuff then. So maybe. I don't think he's going to be able to turn up at this tournament, but yeah, it's anyway. So the thing is that Halo does get coverage, but possibly not in that variant. Shadowrunners, I have been looking into, and yes, it is an old game. But I don't think it's all that much older than Team Fortress 2. It just hasn't aged well.
I haven't heard of it before the Rewind, to be honest.
It looks somewhat
It looks
blocky.
cool.
Yeah, it has that sort of Quake 1 vibe to it.
Yeah, I looked into it, but like that was before me, I guess.
So I think Team Fortress 2 claiming that it's in the same era of those games is possibly a little bit. It's strange.
Well,
we seem to have
really tough.
It seems like Team Fortress 2 has stolen all of the stolen the limelight for themselves.
But you have to remember, it's been 10 years since its release, so like even though like comparatively it might seem not like the best representation of old games, it itself, it really is kind of a.
I mean, like, to put it in perspective, Quake has QuakeCon, which is developer supported.
Yeah.
And I guess Halo still has quite a few things around. TFC, Lord knows, though. TFC, Lord knows. Mm. I'm pretty sure, like, TF2 is now in the position that TFC is in, where we now are waiting for basically the 2018
So do you mean TFC or do you mean...
TFC as in, like, Team Fortress Classic.
Yeah.
Like, way back in the day, there was the whole Fortress Forever versus Team Fortress 2 thing, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so, yeah. All right, I'll give you that. Okay, so Rewind is definitely coming up. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to be there. Uberchain, you're going to be there. And Funk, if we can persuade you.
6 invite teams?
I'm not going to be there. We should still go.
We'll stow him away.
Yeah.
Wait.
Like, if someone is driving up from Orlando, can you, is it Orlando? I just assumed it was going to be over in that area.
Somewhere in the little island that's known
if someone's driving across the country and they have a spare seat in their luxury trailer,
if they happen to be able to stow me away, I may pop my head out.
Driving from Florida because it's at the bottom corner of America.
If you have like a private
it's literally
jet,
like the farthest possible place you can drive from. But
yeah, pretty much.
Like, at that point, like, nobody can drive across unless they're a madman. It's like, oh, hang on, I'll pick you up. They drive from California, which is on one end of America, all the way to Florida.
The most important person in the world is turning up, has had a critical involvement in organising this. I think we should all take a moment to just thank Banny, and in fact, praise Banny, for, actually, I was saying that sarcastically, but now I think about it, like, Banny has legitimately set this shit up.
He deserves a golf clap.
I'll concede to the golf club. That's well done, sir. Congratulations.
Kudos.
Yes.
I'm spinning like a cloth in the air, like the sports shows.
Go a shout out in chat for Banny. A big warm hearts and
shout out to like Sammy and ESA as well for setting this all up too.
Yeah, it was Sammy Face.
Yeah, Sammy Face.
And yeah, in ESA as well. Like, ESA is going out of their way to make sure that, like, it gets the coverage that it deserves. So, look, it's going to be an amazing event. It's happening in, like, from the time that we record this in 2 weeks' time.
So, January 21st to the 22nd at Esports Arena.
I'm so excited.
Be there.
Yes.
Be square.
And I'm not sure it's going to be a live stream.
There is a live stream.
Well, there's going to be a live stream. There won't be a KritzKast that week. I might take a mic and record some people and do something, but it's not going to be released that week. So there's going to be a slightly awkward pause in our scheduled shows. Right. We need to cover 2 more things or 3 more things, and then we'll be done, and everyone can go and have a lie down and rest their voices.
Finally.
Speaking of time.
Oh my God.
The test of time was
recently,
not won.
So, for those who weren't, like, because we didn't do a show and we didn't cover it, Steam had these awards that they were giving out, and one of them was the test of time. Now, TF2 was nominated for it alongside other games such as Skyrim, Civilization, I'm not entirely sure what else, because I was only paying attention to the fact that Team Fortress 2 was in there, and I wanted Team Fortress 2 to win.
Yeah, don't get it twisted. This was a popularity contest.
It was absolutely a popularity contest,
out.
And spoiler alert, Team Fortress 2 did not win. The winner, as a matter of fact, for the Test of Time award was Skyrim.
Which is it came out like, what, 5.5 years ago? Yeah. Which I wouldn't even consider.
Yes. Now,
like, old.
The criteria underneath the Test of Time award is this award is for the game that is just as good today as the day you first played it. Newer games may come out, but it doesn't matter. You'll always come back to play this one. Now, I feel like there's some bullshit going on here because Skyrim is only enjoyable once you get all that mod shit going on.
Yep.
Exactly. Like, if I try to pick up vanilla Skyrim, especially the original, not even the remaster, I get bored before I can even get, like, past the first town.
I legitimately haven't finished that game because I got so pissed off with the fact that you have to pick up all the plates. Like,
you have to what?
You have to pick up all the cutlery and crockery and then sell them. Like, that's a mechanic. And, like, you can carry literally, like, an entire IKEA catalogue full of items on your back, and none of them show up while you're fighting. None of them make you trip over or anything. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's not... But if you pick up too many items, you can't move at a certain point. Like, if you pick up
can have 500 plates, but you can't have 501.
You can't have 501. Terraria's on here, actually. I would have
Terraria's
voted
a good game. Like,
Age of Empires is on here.
Terraria could beat Skyrim.
How old is Terraria?
I mean, Civ
It's not that old, but it's withstood, like, a lot of...
I would still take it over Skyrim, to be honest.
I would take it over Skyrim. Now, at that point, it's like, it's a debate, too, because Team Fortress 2, I guess people really wanted Team Fortress 2 to win, but again, the caption is there. If you found that TF2 is just as enjoyable to play as when you first started it.
You would think a game that needed a remaster wouldn't be allowed to be nominated for a Test of Time award, but...
Slammed, savage, wrecked, brutal.
Apparently it's okay.
Yep. So, I honestly thought that we should have won. I thought this game was cool before it won an award. So yeah, there were plenty of opportunities. We didn't win shit. That's
just the thing. Like,
we had a fucking competition specifically set up so that Team Fortress 2 could win an award, and it didn't bloody win.
TF2 could have won all of the awards given at this
just
thing, and
5 more minutes.
Barely scraped by a loss in its number 1 category.
Yep.
It's okay.
It hurts.
Because TF2 has won deep down.
In my heart.
In our intestines.
I was going to say my liver, but I think you guys beat me all to it. Alright, so there has been an update recently that changed the way that you choose the next map you're going to play.
That's right, yes.
And now instead of not having the opportunity to choose your next map or even to keep the grip that you've got and play another map, it used to just spit you back out to the front page again. You have to start queuing all over again. So now with this update in place, you can say, I want to play Swiftwater, or I want to play BL Borneo. BL Borneo? PL Borneo.
BL Borneo is like the...
BLT.
Oh, you don't want me to talk about it on the show. You don't want me to talk about it on the show.
Okay, I won't go there.
It eventually ends with Yuri on Ice.
See, now I want you to talk about it.
No, not on the show. Later. We'll have this conversation later.
You know what? I'll make it.
Wait, are you gonna like SFM this shit now?
I technically already did. It was called competitive matchmaking 6v6. That's about as BL Borneo as it gets.
Man, we're not going to shitpost the entire show this week. However, someone called Simon Ish on Reddit has designed their own version of the map selector. And frankly, if you don't love this more than life itself, there is something very wrong with your Team Fortress 2 soul.
It's a lot more refined. It's just... Like, the other one does the job, but it's so basic and tiny, and, like, a lot of people kind of quit before it even pops up.
This gives me a lot of nostalgia to esports casts, particularly CSGO ones, where they have map flythroughs before the intro. Yeah, and we used to do that, too. But
literally all it is having a little bit of animation in there, so the maps you're seeing, it's not just a static
really
image
adds
of it.
A lot, doesn't it?
It's like a flyby or a fly-through of the maps themselves. It gives you a much greater feeling and understanding of what the map it is that you're actually choosing.
Yeah, because if you're a new player and you just see like a static image of like 2Fort, then you're not really getting all the information on what the map is because you haven't played on it before.
This shows you locations. Yeah, it's very... This is the kind of content I want to see on RTF2.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of like... So, not only is it good shit on RTF2, but it's also like... It's legitimate addition... Like, I can't see how this would take significant amount of coding.
Also, can I point out that in the GIF, the creator is level 1,222? Is that normal?
I don't even... Is that a thing?
Dang, man. Dang.
No, 1,000.
I think they might have...
I think we've got a long way to climb.
So that's something to hope for. If Valve do nothing more than take this person and make them God for the day, then they have they've won my heart all over again.
Yeah, even if Valve didn't make exactly this, it would be nice to see them sort of like make a revision on it and just clean it up more.
Yeah, I wonder what it would break though, because I feel like that's mostly
something to do with sentry guns.
There's still a lot of broken HUD elements in matchmaking, like the respawn timer. You can only see like the one under your player icon, otherwise it's completely covered.
The code is weird. As like, I think this got as popular as it is, particularly on RTF2, because it pointed out a flaw in something that people weren't happy with. That usually tends to like get up there. But in terms of like actually coding this, I'm not sure. Like, we all at this point are pretty sold on the fact that like, regardless of if you're more sympathetic towards Valve or if you're less sympathetic towards like Jill, the potted plant, and the janitor.
Yeah.
What you have to bear in mind is that TF2's code is arguably very disorganized. Like, from what we assume, it's very disorganized. Even organized code, if you change one thing, the chances
just
of
give it to 6 even and get him to code it up. Like how hard
you can come to the conclusion that the entire game's code is just like a rickety shack of old wood.
It's held together by dust and hope and dreams, gaffer tape, and
one nail in the wrong place, and,
and the whole
you have a bunch
down.
of it falling down.
Yeah. So
Duct tape.
So you have to make the request and be prepared for some compromises. Nonetheless, though, I still think it would be worth it.
This is sick. Yeah, this is sick.
I want this so bad. So, Simonish, congratulations for producing an amazing piece of
concept.
If we could see more stuff like this posted, just like interesting ideas that are like people put a lot of effort into showing what they mean, like posts like this.
I think they'll do that. Like, I think that's the focus. I know one of the mods for our TF2 was here a while ago, mentioned like they wanted to sort of focus on. But I think in terms of what people look forward to, this will be one of those things that just sort of naturally slides into a top category in terms of what should be noticed.
Yes, please.
Okay.
In terms of what else should be noticed.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about this.
I was leading you up for you to talk about it. All right. So while we're talking about fantastic, happy things that happen on RTF2, a post was made by someone called What Is Schwa, who I later discovered that's their real name as opposed to someone not knowing not Schwa Oz.
Aaron Schwa. Yeah.
Indeed.
Oh, weird.
And he was particularly keen to point out at the end of the year, or towards the end of the year, just after, I think it was submitted in like January the 2nd, that Team Fortress 2 saved their house, and actually probably the kid, his kid as well. So that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, Swiftwater becoming official, like, it was a big deal for him, and it's
his map. He made the map, so
yeah.
So when Valve starts recognizing content creators, like people who make items and people make maps and put them into the game, well, they get a big payoff in the first place, and through like the hat stamp thing. Like every time you buy something on the store, you're asked if you want to contribute towards map makers by buying specific maps or buying some, putting like a few cents in towards map makers. Then the map makers themselves get a bit of a kickback. And that's happened enough times in order to, have justified the effort that he put into making this map. But also to pay for, fixing his house, which he discovered was lined with lead. As he put it, the health department determined my house could double as an X-ray blanket.
I think the lead was from paint, though. That,
was it?
Like, the child accidentally stumbled across. But I think that the house, too, it needed some renovations. And it needed to be cleared of lead as well.
Well, his son also needed renovations and needed to be cleared of lead, which is an entirely different prospect, and one that would have rendered, would have been very difficult for them to achieve had there not been map money. So the fact that his map was incorporated into the game and Valve paid him a healthy sum of money meant that, well, he could finally fix his house and he can finally fix his kid. And actually, fixing your kid makes it sound like he's never going to have kids again. So yeah,
things worked out. Let's put it that
positively, and it's just like a really good feel-good like story. And we don't get like hugely dramatic feel-good stories, like things that have gone so incredibly, impossibly well for someone who laboured on that map for many, many years.
Oh yes,
like. The fact that
that wasn't a one-off map.
I
that was
remember
something
it like it was yesterday.
Consistently,
it was a UGC
sculpted.
Highlander match. First UGC Highlander match. I got sniped so many fucking times because of how open that map was.
I was casting a match on this with my friend and a hacker joined on.
I'm so happy that like that map got official. I might not like playing it in 6v6 mode, but I'm so happy for this guy.
I've had good memories on this map.
Yeah. This is one of those ones that was. I couldn't believe that Valve hadn't taken that one on and taken other maps instead. Like that's legitimately a well worked on map and now that it's in the game, I don't know, like you see the message every time you buy something. Do you want to contribute towards map makers? And you think, not this time, next time, not this time, next time. And then
all the time.
Yeah.
You read something like this and you think, you know what? This time I will. Because actually,
it's good to see, like, that buying it is actually having an effect on the creator, because you might not realize it, but like when you buy a map stamp, it's going to the person that made the map, and they aren't really getting that much income after the map's added, beyond like map stamps, from what I know. Mm-hmm. So it always helps when you do stuff like that.
I almost wish it translated to the workshop guys as well, like the item workshop guys, because I'm not too sure how the...
Well, originally they would add items to the shop, but then they just started making it crate exclusive. So it's kind of an iffy system for item creators nowadays.
I think saying stuff like this too, it's like where this is the justification for bringing, I guess, selling items back on the store rather than putting them behind crates.
Yeah.
Like this is the sort of thing that really helps too, and this is I guess what a lot of niche areas of the TF2 community really want to experience as well. Like there's few people who can say this. There's few people who could like say that like TF2 can sustain them for as long as it is, and it's usually the workshop, and thankfully now after the map system changed, the like map community,
the people that are contributing to the game, like legitimate content, not the lazy people that make videos and then make money off of those. The people that actually add things to the game.
Yeah, those bums.
Those are the people that matter.
Okay, we need to talk about the people that matter to KritzKast's Play of the Week. I don't know if you're aware of this. I know that you are a winner yourself, FUNKe, of
yes, I
the
am.
Player of the Week. Player of the Week walks away with a lo-fi long wave, not just an ordinary one, but a vintage one. So that's a pretty special thing as well. We generally like to leave it up to our guests to name someone who's either contributed significantly this week to the health and well-being of Team Fortress 2, or someone who's had a massively influential effect on their lives, or really their mum. Whichever you want. So, do you have anyone in mind that you want to name as this week's Player of the Week?
Man, you're popping it right on top of me right now.
All of it. You're taking my load.
Out of anybody that I could pick, Simonish with his revamped images, I like that. And I like seeing content like that. And I think just somebody putting that much effort into making a good post rather than, recreating Dane's scientific experiment to cover Marasmus. I think I think it's worthy of some praise. But, if you guys would like to veto me, then have at it.
Wow, I'm just surprised that you didn't pick your mum, to be honest.
I won't even lie, she tried to make a Steam account a few weeks ago, so I could have done it.
Wow.
This one's for my mom who joined Steam.
Like a week ago.
She couldn't figure out how to add me, so she just gave up and deleted Steam.
Oh my goodness.
Damn, I wonder how many people
I think that deserves a hug more than a hat.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, maybe one day she'll give me a hug. I'm still waiting on that.
Or more likely she'll give you a hat. Okay, so right. Congratulations go to Simonish. You are this week's Player of the Week. Which means we only have one more thing to do before we close the show, which is ask you how the people...
We need to check the oven.
We only have two more things to do.
Shit!
Professionalism... Oh, we have no idea what it is.
Hey, I ripped the wire out of my headphones. I had to put it back on.
Okay.
I'm back.
Are the cookies burnt, though?
But the cookies, are they burnt?
No, they're good. They're a little crispy, but I like them that way.
Excellent. All right. Not going to say anything about your mum. Anyway, so...
Oh, yeah? No. Let's backtrack, Aggro.
Indeed.
You want to let that out? You're man of your word?
She's a little crispy and I like her that way.
That's what I thought, boy.
We need to close off the show now.
Okay, yes. So, there is just the one last thing we need to do, which is to ask you, Funk, how do people get hold of you? How do people experience you firsthand? Where do they go? What do they see? What can they expect to see when they get there? And how much will you love them?
The place you can see the stuff I make is youtube.com/funk. And I mean, that's the main thing I do. I have a stream, but don't worry about it because I don't ever stream. If you need to contact me, my Twitter is funkpills. It's pretty easy to just send me like an @ and then I'll read your message. Other than that, I don't talk to anybody, so don't bother.
Wow. That's kind of impressive. Uberchain?
She talked to us! And you can find me... where to find me?
Yeah, go on.
Alright, so my eHarmony profile is non-existent, so you can find me at twitter.com/Uberchain, Tumblr.
Damn.
My Tumblr username is Uberchain, my DeviantArt username is Uberchain, and my YouTube username is UberchainYT. It's full of content that shouldn't be near TF2, but it is.
And, of course, you can find out me if you want to. Follow along on at John Irwin. That's JOHNIRWIN. It's my real name. Or just follow the Twitter account for KritzKast, or find out about the show on KritzKast.com. Give us 5-star reviews on the internet thing, the Apple whatchamacallit. Oh, and yes, the YouTube thing. We are publishing our shows a few days off from the live stream and the podcast thing on the YouTube thing, because apparently it's a thing. So thank you very much for coming on the show, Funk.
Thank you for having me.
And you are welcome back any time you want.
Can I never leave?
You can never leave if you wish, but why would you wish to never leave? I think if you want to never leave...
You don't have to question why I never leave.
You know
I just need an answer of if I'm allowed to never leave.
I kind of don't
Yes
like
or no, Aggro? It's yes or no. I'm putting the decision in your hands.
No, you can never leave.
Can I move in with you?
Funkin' hell.
I can buy the tickets right now. Are we doing this? We're doing this?
Yeah, let's do
You're
this.
going to move in with Aggro, but you're not coming to Rewind?
Yeah.
Get your priorities sorted.
Listen, I've never been... America sucks, okay?
Yeah, come to London, because that's like so much better than America.
That's really the deciding factor here.
Anyway, let's say goodnight to all our wonderful viewers.
Yeah, guys,
and our
thank you very much
fans.
for listening, enjoying the show, and whatever you're doing this evening, please, enjoy it. Does anyone do anything if you're not going to enjoy it? Enjoy yourself.
No.
Good night.
Night.
Yes, good night, Kevin. Get in the trunk, get in the... Okay, Funky, get in. We're taking you to this land, and there's nothing you can do. Get in the case. Get in.